Lately, I've been feeling nostalgic, and not just for music, but for how connected everything used to feel, and I know I'm not the only one. In today's episode of the CaseyRyan podcast, I'm joined by artist TeawhYB, who's channeling this exact feeling with his newest single, 90s R&B. So join me as we talk about the impacts of 90s and 2000s music, being an independent artist, and navigating an ever-changing industry. So come on, get comfy, let's go, let's get at it, let's go, come on. What's up, TeawhYB? Welcome to the podcast. So good to have you. How are you today?
Yeah, Casey, my man, thanks for having me. I'm great. The sun is shining. We got snow on the ground here in Minneapolis, but that's not going to hold us back. That's for sure.
And there you are. There you are. So you've been really busy already so far in 2026. Kind of like what's been going on with you leading up to this point?
Yeah, I'm kind of doing a resurgence. I want to get back to my roots with music, and I'm just focusing on like a passion project. So I'm focused on nostalgia. I want to bring back the good old days. Certainly things right now are a little tense in the world, and I think that part of my coping is looking back at where we came from, how we got here, the things that brought us joy when we were growing up, and so I'm working on an album right now, and yeah, we just released a song called "Dum Dum" with Real X Man, the
Yes.
powerhouse that
A
he is, and
banger. Banger.
yeah, thank you. A little gay club action right
Yeah.
there.
So how did that all come to be? Because you've done collabs with other artists. How did you two meet? What was like the journey of that song? But kind of before we jump in.
Yeah, I don't really remember how we connected, but it was something of around the lines of um, an out at the fair music festival,
Mhm.
and just kind of like those LGBTQ blogs and pages and things like that. We were kind of in the same space, and I remember just showing love and saying like, "I really appreciate what you're doing. I think you're top notch." And he reciprocated the love, and he came to do Minneapolis Pride, Twin Cities
Mm.
Pride, and I linked up with him, and he's like, "We got to do a song together. We got to do a song together." And he probably hit me up for the next 2 months. It was like, "I'm serious. We need to do a song together." So he was really like the catalyst for the whole song. So we found something that worked for both of us and got it sewed up. Did a music video out in LA, and
Yeah.
the rest is history.
Yeah, it's so good. And his rapping style is so fast and so aggressive. I think of like DMX kind of
Yeah,
like that aggression
yeah.
and like the stylized, it's so good. I listened to it on repeat. So glad that you guys decided to make something happen.
Yeah, me too. I'm really glad we made it happen because once it's out, it's out. So it lasts forever.
Exactly. So for people who are just getting introduced to you now, TYB, kind of explain your name because I know it's an acronym and it means something to you, but kind of dive in a little bit to how you came up with your name and what it means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So TYB is an acronym, and it stands for Through Every Action, Who Has Your Back. So
Mm.
I capitalized the T, capitalized the Y, and capitalized the B just to make it a little more clear. I know when you're looking at the name, it's like, wait, what is that? T-Wib? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's kind of a play on my name. Like when I was growing up, people called me TY. I came up with the acronym. And what that means to me is, through every action, who has your back? The people that are going to be there, when things are going well and you to celebrate with. But really, I think the most important part is when you need to be put in check, and you
Yeah.
need to, be brought back to earth and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Who really has your back? Who's going to be there when times are tough, or who's going to be there to keep it real with you? So it's just
Yeah.
something that I've kind of lived by.
Yeah. And that's a really great message to have. And having those people in your corner, I know I've definitely got someone in my corner, my best friend, Melissa. I've talked to her before on some of my other videos. We've been friends since high school, over 20 years or about 20 years now. And it is like, especially things going through that are like challenging. I can personally like stay in a funk a little longer than I probably should have. And she is definitely one who'd be like, okay, time to get up, time to go out, let's do something. So who's
Yeah.
who's kind of in your corner helping you through?
I have my sister is probably my biggest one. My family, I'm really close with my family. My partner Alec definitely keeps me grounded and
Hmm.
helps motivate me to be better. But I have a great, friend support system, and I think that's really a blessing. It's hard to come by sometimes, particularly like when you get older, you're out of college, you're
Yeah.
out of high school and stuff like that. It's like everybody grows up, they're doing their own thing. So to be able to stay with, people for a long period of time and have the inside jokes and the memories is really important.
Yeah, and any relationship takes work and takes effort. There's that, like, proximity thing, which is, I
Oh
think, the
yeah.
biggest hindrance as we get older, as you were kinda saying.
Yeah.
We move away, we start our own families, we're careers, kinda what we're doing. So, yeah, every relationship takes work, takes effort on both sides to make it
Yeah,
work.
intentionality, really. It's just like a
Exactly.
simple like, "Hey, how you doing? What's
Yeah.
popping? What's
Thinking
new?"
of you text.
Yeah. Yeah, I love getting those.
Yes,
Those are
I
so
send those.
underrated.
Mhm. Yeah, just to be thought of, like, every once in a while or know that someone's, like, sharing about you, like, it just feels good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So kind of when did your music journey start? Because you can rap and you rap really well. You also have a fantastic voice and you're in this kind of R&B singing style. Did you like grow up in choir? Are you self-taught? What's kind of your journey been like?
Yeah, I mean, I was not in choir at all. I was
No.
never in, like, music. I didn't learn music. I never really sang. I just kinda sang in the car and, when I was listening to music and singing along to, like, 90s R&B and stuff, that's really how I learned how to sing. And, yeah, I started out rapping.
Yeah.
Growing up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, there's not much to do. We would make CDs of instrumental beats and we would drive around and freestyle and go to like parties and do freestyle battles. So I started writing
Mhm.
raps and stuff like that. And that's really like how it started. I started out as a rapper. I always wanted to be a singer. I always wanted to pivot to that lane. I've never
Mhm.
felt super comfortable in that rap hip hop lane
Yeah.
just because it's very like braggadocious. It's very ego. It's very
You kind of
like
need like a character, right? Is like
yeah,
to be
yeah.
a rap artist, have that persona a little bit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so, you can take rap however you want it. You can be inspirational, you can do all that stuff, but like for the most part, the most popular ones are they fit a particular type and being Caucasian as well is always a weird place to be in with hip hop, but
Yeah.
I just try to pay homage to the people that I grew up listening to and just make sure that I respect the game, respect the people in it and the people that listen. So,
Yeah, I think that's the best that you can do, and you're kind of creating your own lane. It's a pretty small lane of queer rappers, but definitely you're not alone in
yeah.
that lane. So, like, who were some of your inspirations growing up with this kind of like rap style, this hip hop style? Because I hear you throw lyric kind of shout outs or like nods to some older songs and some of your things, like Dancing King.
Mm,
I think in Dum Dum, you do a couple like classic lyric shout outs. So, who were
yeah.
some of your inspirations?
Oh my gosh. Like when I was really little, I listened to like 80s hip hop, like Sugar
Really?
Hill Gang, I mean NWA, kind of an obvious one, but like the really like KRS-One, like really underground stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always stuck to that. I was a big Will Smith fan like growing up, like Fresh
Yeah.
Prince and stuff like that. So I think that's really where it started. But I mean, 2000s rap just had such a, when I was growing up, like they always say, like when you're growing up, those are the most impressionable years.
Yeah.
So like that's gonna stick with you. That's probably gonna be your music taste for the rest of your life. And to me,
Mhm.
it was like 2000s, 90s R&B and rap and
Yeah.
hip hop and I listened to everything, but that was probably the most impressionable stuff for me. Usher is probably like one of my
Oh,
favorite artists of all
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Good some Ursher, baby.
Usher.
Love it. Yeah, geez, okay. I just think the 2000s, especially hip hop, because that was kind of what mainstream was. It was like hip hop, EDM,
Yeah,
love child. And it was
yeah.
just like the best time. I've said this before on my channel, like the best time to be alive in music because we had so many like crossover artists. It was more common to do features with like the pop divas and
Yeah.
like a rap star and like it was just
Mhm.
such a cool time for music and I find myself being really nostalgic for that time too because it just felt like anything was possible in
Yeah,
music and the
yeah,
formula was all about like living in the moment, having fun, like experiencing life and it's just not as common right now with music that I'm finding. So, what
yeah.
has inspired you? You kind of mentioned it with your 90s R&B song. What was kind of the catalyst of like I want to do this song about this specific
Yeah,
topic?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I just feel like music right now is just not in a happy place.
Hmm.
And I think that when I look back and I listen, I mean, I listen to like 90s and decades all the time. So,
Yeah.
when you look back, it's like there's a certain love and adoration that was in those lyrics and in those
Yeah.
songs. And, some are a little like not that way,
Yeah.
but I just really wanted to make something that brought that feeling back a little bit.
Hmm.
I really grew up listening to like Bobby Brown and
Oh,
New
wow.
Edition and
Yeah.
Aaron Hall and stuff like that. So it's just like the New Jack Swing sound just really resonates with me. It's just something that feels so uplifting and fun
Hmm.
and nostalgic. And so I really wanted to channel that a little bit.
Hmm.
And I look at modern dating and things that are happening right now. It's like we're texting on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, text messages, all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't want to be on FaceTime. I want the FaceTime with you in person. I
Yeah.
want to, I don't want things to be so accessible all the time. Like instead of
Yeah.
texting all day, why don't we meet up and then we can talk about our day in person and spend our time doing that? Like,
Yeah.
so that's really kind of how it stemmed from. And, also it's just like when you meet somebody that feels really familiar, it
Yeah.
feels like you've known them your whole life, but you really just met or you're just getting to know each other. And so 90s R&B is really about like falling in love with someone who feels like vintage clothes, who feels like those R&B
Ah.
love songs that you were singing about as a kid, but you
Yeah.
didn't really know what they're about until it happened to you when you were older. So that's
Mm.
really the meaning behind the song and kind of what the inspiration was.
I love that. That was not quite where I was, and speaking to the power of music and how universal it can be. I
Yeah.
love hearing the artist's view of the song. So then, I guess leading to the next question, what was like the first memory for you, or something that you kind of based the song off of? Now understanding that it's about finding that person in that relationship that gives you that nostalgic feeling. Did you have like a certain moment in your life that you were writing from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I was growing up, like I was the person that was burning CD mixtapes for people like to show my appreciation or
Mm.
like for the homies I would burn them like, all right, this is the best music that's out right now. And then for the girls I would be like, hey, this is kind of like a love song. You
Hmm.
kind of show your love. Back when I was straight, you show your love with you show your love through music, and now
Right.
it's kind of like I know it's easy now, you can send a playlist, but back in the day you had to
Put some
put
work into it.
viruses on your computer to burn CDs and
Yeah.
destroy like your computer is just fuming. It's just like
Yes.
going crazy burning these songs and burning these CDs and writing
Yep.
out each song and giving the track list and making sure it works and
That's the biggest thing, is after all of that work and the hours it used to take to burn a CD, and then some of them didn't come through. You had that little like
yeah.
file not recognized error. Yeah. It was a
So
labor of love for
yeah,
sure.
no, absolutely. So that's kind of what it came from. But I remember like just listening to music on our desktop computer, doing
Yeah.
homework or being on MySpace or whatever, just listening and
MySpace.
singing along and just really feeling something with those the Usher, the Key Sweat, the
Yeah.
SWV, stuff like that. Really feeling something
Mhm.
but knowing that, it's just like, man, I feel you ever hear a song and you like take those emotions and put it in yourself? It's like
Oh, yeah.
Usher Let It Burn. Like I am not getting burned right now. I am not,
No.
there's nothing about my life that deserves this, but I'm feeling it for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah.
And then, so that's kind of what it tapped into is just like I was thinking about like how I was such an emotional child, like listening to
Mm.
these songs. It's like,
Right.
you didn't even have a person to be
Yeah.
burning about. Like, what are you talking about?
Power of music. Power of music. You can
Yeah.
feel it and relate to it regardless of if you're going through it. So then when was your first kind of like memory of writing a song? Because you said you didn't grow up in like choir or anything. You're kind of self-taught and just from your experiences. Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
Oh, um, like raps for sure.
Hmm.
I remember I read this poem book. It's called The Rose That Grew from Concrete.
Mm.
And it was a Tupac poem book. And it really just like showed me that, you can take rap and you can put it into something maybe a little more palatable for
Oh.
literature and stuff like that. So that's really what inspired me. And I remember writing poems and
Hmm.
showing it to my English teacher, and they're like, you should submit this for publication. And I don't remember what it was, but it ended up getting like somewhere. Nothing big,
Wow.
nothing major. It wasn't anything
Still
crazy, but
cool.
I just remember like having that moment with my English teacher and being like, wow, that was really cool.
Right. It's obviously a impact and kind of like a core memory for you because that's the first thing
Yeah.
you jump to of like this is the catalyst that I can think of initially. So very impactful.
Yeah.
What type of poetry?
I think it was at the time, because I think it was like seventh grade or something, but it was really like writing and getting my emotions out.
Mm,
My parents were split like when I was really little, and I think I struggled with just kind of family and relationships and
yeah.
just navigating that. So I think it was probably like an outlet for me to get out some of those emotions. And then being a confused queer
Hmm.
boy at the time too, I think that played a
Yeah.
big role into it. And I just needed to get something out without talking to my parents and stuff like that, just like finding a kind of like talking into the void. I
Yeah.
feel like back in the day, like the internet was very much like you're just talking into the void. Now everything is like tracked and digitized, and you can
Hmm.
find it. You can't tweet into the void anymore. It's very much
Right.
like people will find it.
Yes, they
So
will.
I think
Yes.
writing for me, and if anybody is going through something, I really recommend like writing and using your creativity to get your emotions out, because I think it's really productive and it's very healthy.
Yeah. And if you can, I also piggybacking off of that, writing it down with your hand, it just
Yeah.
slows the mind down. So you get a
Hmm.
chance to, if you suffer from anxiety or ADHD or ADD, where it's hard to focus on something, going back to like physical writing helps me focus and like dial down and understand like what I'm wanting to write about. And it can just help slow things down. So great advice for you.
Yeah.
Just write something.
Just
That,
full nostalgia, like trying to get
yeah.
away from relying on everything that's electronic and technology, I think
Yes.
is really kind of a we're losing that a little bit. So, just
Hmm.
the entire conversation that we're having, the entire nostalgia trip and, everything based around the song is really about that.
You kind of mentioned this a little bit with your experiences in the hip hop industry as a queer artist. Have you noticed any changes in the industry kind of as you've been going through? You've been releasing a lot of music over the last few years. Have you seen any improvement to your experience in the hip hop scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I started out, it was really scary to be fully myself.
Yeah, I get that.
There weren't any queer artists that were mainstream that I could like take that example from. I mean, I think the first one that really came to mind was Frank Ocean and like Adam Lambert and stuff like that. But
Right.
there wasn't anybody in that hip hop lane that really paved the way, in my opinion. I know that there were
Yeah.
people, it just wasn't something that I was privy to.
Yeah.
So when I started out doing shows, I my lyrics weren't like particularly queer forward, but what I did is I brought my drag queen friend out with me. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I had like drag performers dancing with me and rapping and stuff like that, just to kind of show this is what I'm about. I'm
Hmm.
inclusive. I want to make sure that everybody has a space within this.
Right.
And so I think that was really important for me. And I was kind of in a smaller town, and I don't think that even in a bigger town people would have rejected it, but the response was really positive. Like,
That's good.
I don't think people generally looked at me and said like, "Oh, gay, nah, we don't want that a part of this."
Right.
So part of that could be the way I present or anything like that, but I didn't really feel the like pushback about like being myself, which was super encouraging. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the story of my life is like, don't hide yourself, be confident, be authentic with yourself, because you're gonna have a space. Like
Hmm.
even if you don't right away, like there is a space. Like there's so many people that are craving that. So I think there's a lot more opportunities for queer artists. I think
Hmm.
as soon as you get labeled as a queer artist, it can be a little limiting.
Uh huh. Yeah,
Just
sure.
like an unconscious bias. Like I noticed that when I started posting more about like LGBTQ publications and
Hmm.
blogs and playlists and stuff that I was getting put into, people are like, "All right, you're really going with like the gay thing. Like, do you is that what you're trying to do?" And I was like, "Well, not really. It's just like those are the only places that are giving me a space."
Right.
And, so you try to connect with your community and use that to your advantage a little bit, doing pride
Hmm.
shows and pride festivals and stuff like that. Um, but ultimately, you want to be known as an artist and not just, like as an identity artist.
True. And I think that that is a conversation that people are timid to have because it can be misconstrued as like shame or
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. But I feel the same way of I love being a queer representation. I love talking about it. I'm not like ashamed or scared to talk
Yeah.
about my queer identity. I just don't think that that's the most exciting thing about me.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I like writing universal music because I like listening to universal music. I like the general kind of pronouns in songs so then everyone can relate to it. But I
Same.
also like always like to have my little nods of it's truly who I am. It's my identity. I am a gay man who writes about my gay experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have those nods. But good for you for talking about it too, because it's been almost like a taboo type of topic when it's
Hmm.
not meant to be taboo.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, just like when you're talking about songwriting, I generally try to keep it like non-binary.
Yeah.
But there are times that I don't want to. I want to like make sure that I'm representing that I'm a gay artist and I'm talking about
Hmm.
him, not they, or something like that. I want to make it actually really clear, and I want songs to be about that. I don't want,
Exactly.
like Sam Smith. I don't want him to be singing about a girl because I know that's not real.
True. And as you said, there wasn't a lot of like queer representation as men that we could really look up to. So I want to have that space and give that opportunity for the younger me who is
Yeah.
kind of like now regressed to where our experience was instead of moving forward, unfortunately. But like
Hmm.
they still need us to be out there and writing
Yeah.
those things. So it's a balance. Has there ever been a moment where like you thought about quitting or like I guess what keeps you going?
Yeah, I will say, like from 2019 to 2023,
Hmm.
things were just coming so easily to me. I feel like shows and opportunities. I was being flown out to do festivals and,
Yeah.
bringing my artist friends and DJ with me. And, it was just like so surreal and it really felt like a big moment.
Hmm.
As time passed, it just felt like those opportunities weren't coming as easily. I was getting passed over for a lot of stuff, and I think part of that could be I just didn't elevate myself as an artist with new music and a new sound and something different for people to latch on to. I also think things just got a little more competitive as well post COVID,
Yeah, true.
and things changed for sure. So it's that's one thing that people don't talk about. Like they always talk about like the come up story and how, the successes and things like that, but nobody talks about like after the success and you're still trying to keep going. And when those things don't come for you, you don't get the playlist placements, you don't get the shows, you don't
Hmm.
get booked. It's really disheartening, and it's like, okay, am I past my prime or what's going on? So I think that I needed some time. I was going through some things personally, and I needed some time to reflect
Hmm.
and just think about, like, instead of doing it for the likes and the comments and the shares, maybe you should do it for yourself and just like leave a legacy of something that you're going to be proud of. And that's really
Hmm.
where I'm at right now. Is I feel like I'm making some of the best music and some of the most true to self music that I've ever made.
Good.
I'm doing exactly the type and style of what I want to do, and I think
Hmm.
that's what's really motivating me. And even just posting these like mini series, I'm doing like a songs you forgot about, and then I'm doing like a burn CD and stuff like that.
Hmm.
um People are resonating with it, and people are like, oh, this is a really cool just like vibe that you're putting out, and I think that's something that I'm most proud of right now.
With like artists that are kind of like craving connection right now, I've heard this kind of like as a common thing with myself as well, wanting to connect with other artists because it does. You kind of mentioned this feel. There's a lot of competition, and it's kind of become like a detached industry. Like it
Mhm.
used to feel like a lot more community, and it was we would go to each other's shows. And I love that you brought up COVID. I think it gets looked over and kind of like scapegoated, but there is some truth to after COVID, the world changed. I know
Yeah.
certainly changed. I don't always get to go out and watch a show like I used to before. The way that people connect is just so different as well after COVID.
Venues closed.
Yeah,
Um, like budgets and stuff got tighter, I think.
yeah.
Um,
So what are you craving right now as an artist?
yeah, I mean, you were talking about connection. I really think that I am craving that connection
Hmm.
uh, from other artists. Just, I think it's good to have other artists to bounce ideas off of, or
Yeah,
before you release something or post something. It's really nice to get like honest feedback from other artists that you respect. And,
right.
um, also help each other out. I don't make music for other artists. I make music for people that enjoy it and I think that are going to connect with it.
Hmm.
So there's always a thin line of that, but um, I do think like anytime you're in a community, you're not. It's not just you. Like you can't make everything about you.
True.
Come to my show, listen to my song, do this. It's like the energy's gotta be reciprocal. So if
Yeah,
like for instance, if you're like moving to a city, go and you're an artist, go to shows, go to other people's shows, see what people are
yeah.
doing. Show love to the people that you really enjoy. Don't do the fake love stuff, but like be authentic and show appreciation. Like nobody should have that big of an ego that you think you're the only artist that deserves something, because there's a
Hmm.
lot of really amazing talented people out here. So I think it's just
Yeah.
important to, like, when you see something and you like it, you should let them know. um
Yes.
just like you were talking before, like specific bars or things like that. Us as artists, we write things very intentionally.
Hmm.
And for someone to say, like, wow, I love that bar, like, I love that line, that
Hmm.
is like the biggest compliment that I could like, that is why I make music, is
Yeah.
because I'm expressing something. And if you are in the know, like you get the joke, you get the line, that's
Hmm.
that's the most powerful thing. So like even just people hitting me up saying like, dang, I really like this song, or like I like that bar, or like commenting one of the bars, like that is why I do it. That
Yeah.
is literally why I do it.
Yeah, I agree. There's no better feeling, and I think anyone who creates art or something with your hands, with your mind, thinking of something, creating it in reality, and then giving it out to the public,
Yeah.
it's terrifying because it
Yeah.
gets to be judged for free, which
Yep.
is scary. But it's also the coolest feeling to connect with people that you would have never connected with without this opportunity.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sometimes like pre-release, you're like so excited about something, and then it gets out there and you're like, all right.
Mhm.
Big sigh of relief, because like I want to make sure that this translates the way that I intended,
Yeah.
and I don't want all this hard work to go to waste.
Are you a I'm done, it's posted, move on to the next one? Or do you like to take a break in between projects?
I think, time is of the essence. It's like, I think there have been times where like I have a song Cabin, and it just really like got a lot of plays. It was, really popular. And I kind of wish I would have capitalized on that, like made other songs in that kind of style to keep that trajectory going.
Hmm.
But my stubbornness, I was like, well, I just want to make what I want to make.
Hmm.
So I think looking back, I think capitalizing on things that are working is really important. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, when you post something, it's like, I don't know, you just got to move on to the next. Like it is, we all have short attention spans. It's, you might post something, it might be really popular for that week. And then, I mean, people forget so quickly that,
Yeah.
and it's just, that's human nature. That's all part of it.
Yeah.
Um, a, you watch the Super Bowl, and there might be some memorable moments, and you'll remember that, but there's going to be things that happen throughout the game that a week later, like you're never going to remember. So it's just
Right.
about finding the key things, and kind of building off of that, I think.
Right. And maintaining your own expectations, I think is
Yeah.
kind of what you're saying too. Sometimes
Hmm.
we hit gold and it's fantastic. Other times it's going to be like crickets.
Yeah.
with our music and doing it for the love of doing it versus I'm in the same boat as you. Took a break because I was really focused on likes and comments and making content that would go viral versus making content that shared me.
Yeah.
And so same boat with you. And I've had to come recognize what my limitations are for my disability and just like what my expectations are of people's ability to listen or people's ability to support, because some
Hmm.
people think support is just I'm going to watch it and swipe when actually it's the like button, or I'm going to stream music versus downloading it. There's
Yeah.
different levels of support that it's kind of like the wizard behind the curtain. It's not all out there for the public, and so there's different views of how we can support each other, right?
Yeah, and I think word of mouth is like the most important piece of
Mm-hmm.
that. Likes and comments are great, but like if you
Yeah.
truly like something, share it with somebody
Share
else,
it.
even online or not online. I
Yeah.
think in person is even better, but like that I think is the most important part because instead of coming from me and telling you that, this is an important song, I like this song, this is a good vibe. If it comes from somebody else, it hits 10 times more.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So I want to kind of bring it back over to your new song, your 90s R&B. We've touched on it a little bit about it, kind of about your inspiration. Talked a little bit about where you the viewpoint of the song is writing about someone who gives you that nostalgic feeling. What do you want people to feel besides necessarily just that? I want you to feel nostalgic or have that like moment. What do you want people to feel when they're listening to the song?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that I want people to maybe look at the state of where we're at, like modern dating and technology, and try to get back to the basics a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think things are just really overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
We're constantly being hit with headlines and news articles and 10 things to get land a guy and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and it's like I think if we can be intentional and slow down, I know a lot of my single friends are saying like it's so hard to date. You meet someone and you feel like you hit it off and things are going well, but then they're still on the apps and they're not willing to settle down. So
Mm.
like
Yeah.
it's always hard because you're trying to find somebody and then the timing has to be right. I think is a really important thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, overall, I think just thinking back to your roots is kind of the goal of this and thinking about how to really show love and provide love and be true to yourself as well, but it's really like a yearning love song. It's very much like showing my admiration and tapping into like you feel so familiar, you feel so vintage, and here we are now in 2026 kind of thing.
So do you have a favorite line from the song?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think my favorite line is actually stay connected but we're lonely. And,
Mm.
it's like we are so connected. We're more connected than we ever have been.
Yeah.
We can text back, and in a moment's notice, we get an answer.
Right.
And, sometimes like a long distance relationship, or even you might be living together and, you text all day, but when you get home, you're not even talking. And I just feel like sometimes that can be a lonely place.
Yeah.
So to me, that is as that's the line that it starts with. That's the song. That's where it starts. And,
Mm.
so
Jumps us right in, or drops
yeah,
us right
yeah,
in.
yeah. Wasting no time.
No. So kind of where do you start with songs? Do you come with lyrics first? Do you come with an idea first? Do you need a beat first?
Yeah,
What's your
it is
songwriting
like
like?
all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm like so different on every track.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with a collaborator named Jack Greenwood on this project, and we have an album out. It's called Other Colors that we did release in 2022.
Okay.
And so
Nice.
we connected, and he's just like, "Bro, we should just do another project. Like, what are we doing?" And I'm like, "You're exactly right."
Yeah.
And so I've just been giving him like, this is kind of the sound that I'm looking for. He'll craft up a beat, and then I'm writing to it. Is really like what this process of this album is. So it's been super fun. I could not do this without Jack. Like, he is such a masterful singer, songwriter, and producer. He's truly
Mm.
amazing. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the process. I mean, for 90s R&B, had the beat, and I think I just like started singing. I mean, I usually don't write down too much. I kind of will go to the microphone and give like the melody or something that I
Mhm.
want to do and how I
Mhm.
want it to sound, and then I'll put lyrics to it after.
Mm.
But I generally feel like it's best to go in with like, okay, what is the idea of the song?
Right.
Because otherwise it can just go south fast, or it can really be a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah,
There's a
true.
lot of songs that are about nothing, and some of them are really good, and some of them are kind of like okay. But I
Yeah.
do think that lyrics are really important with the song, and just like giving a feeling, like you were saying, like what do you
Mhm.
want people to feel, and
Mhm.
that's going to come through the lyrics and kind of the total composition. But um, yeah, so I mean, sometimes I'll write like little lines or something. Like I'll be sleeping and I'll wake up and I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know how that
Mhm.
came to me," but like,
Oh, yeah.
so I think it's important to have those in your bag, because when you're writer's block or you're just not sure where to start, I think that is really good to have, just like a back pocket idea.
Oh, yeah. My voice notes are full with different one-liners. I'm out, like, cleaning up my yard, and a song comes in. I'm like, "Ooh, let me just do this line because I think that could be something."
Yeah,
Haven't touched
yeah.
it, but you know it's there. I can always tap into it.
Safe in my phone.
Yep, saving my phone. I also like to do like, kind of you were saying, like go in with an idea. So my latest single, "Doing It Without You," I had the title because that line was like said or implied, like the reverse, "You need me,"
Mm,
was told to me, and so I had this like I want to do a song of like I don't need you. I'm look at me, I'm surviving without you. I've done it all kind of by myself.
yeah.
And I went through and like I did bullet points. I opened like my notes app and I was like, this is the title of the song because I like that. Now here's everything about that situation that impacts this title.
Mm,
And then I start like kind of going through finding my verses. Usually I start with the hook. I think that comes the quickest for me. Are you
sure.
similar with your
Right.
hook or do you do your verses?
Yeah, sometimes it depends. I like to start from the beginning. I don't know, I'm just kind of like, a
Linear.
timeline guy.
Yeah.
So it depends, but usually I like to go through like from the start to the end,
Hmm.
and that's how I compartmentalize it a little bit. But sometimes it's like you don't know, is the hook gonna be the beginning or is it gonna be in the middle, or how does that go? So,
Yeah, it's kind of
um,
interesting, isn't it? Music, thinking about music in the way of like how you post to social media. Some of the songs recently, what I mean by that is like starting with your hook is a really
mhm,
popular thing, and like starting with the crazy statement on your short or your
yeah.
TikTok or whatever, and then like kind of going back. I think someone called it like the Shonda Rhimes method. If you watch
Okay.
Grey's Anatomy, it's like here's your tragedy, and then we're gonna go back in time and show you how it
I was
happens.
gonna say I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's all right. Grey's Anatomy, it's a great show. You love it. You watch it all the time.
Never heard of her. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do agree. I mean, I think to like songwriting, it's kind of like, okay, what is the hook gonna be for TikTok? How are you
Hmm.
gonna draw people in? And that is
Yeah.
probably the thing I'm the worst at, because
Really? That's surprising.
I don't know. I feel like my hooks just never land because I want it to be about the song, but you got like you're trying to be an attention grabber and stuff like that. So this is
Okay.
something I've been really studying lately, and I don't think I have it down, but I'm just gonna try to be true to myself and go from there.
My personal favorite of yours recently was your Dancing King. You
Mm.
did it a lot. You did it in different places. Every time it comes on, like my husband and I would watch it, and like we like it and share it because it's like this is so good. Like it was simple, but like you did it with other people. You would be
Yeah.
out. Like I think that is like for me really fun to watch. Someone promoting their song with like a little dance or a TikTok dance. It might be dated now. I don't know. It might be dating myself, but I
Yeah. I
thought that that
mean,
was really cool.
that was like something I mean, I'm not a choreographer. I can dance a little bit, but not really. And I just was like, I'm making a song called Dancing King, and I'm making a little dance to it.
Yeah,
And
just
so I was like in a hotel. I'm just like making something up. And then I just was like, I'm going to go around the city. I was in Atlanta at the time. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this everywhere.
yeah.
And I was really fortunate, like people were doing the dance. They were,
Hmm.
I kind of made a little dance challenge, and it was like people that I didn't even know. I was like absolutely honored. That was like such a cool moment. So I'm glad that just I just wanted to present something fun
Yeah,
and joyful, and I think that definitely translated.
it did. Absolutely, it did. So, like, has there been a specific song so far that's like changed your career?
Yeah, probably Cabin for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're at like I don't know, 2.5 million streams on Spotify, but that's just the one that like consistently performs well.
Hmm.
Not so much on social media, TikTok and stuff, but just like listening wise, I think it's really relatable song. It's a Cabin is about a real place. I have a large family, and we all get together. Um, my dad has 11 siblings, so it's kind of
Whoa.
like the cabin is like a
Yeah.
series of cabins that we all get together.
Oh,
Particularly
cool.
like Fourth of July now, and it's about like my grandparents who have passed away, and just growing up. Like it was, hey, do you need a swimsuit? We're making booyah, which is a kind of chicken stew, and you invite the entire lake, and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what you look like, all this stuff. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's
Mm.
is loved here, and that really shaped me to who I am, and that's what the song is about.
Yeah, it totally makes sense why you crave connection and you like being face to face with someone, going out or like sharing a meal. You grew up with a really big family. It sounds like you
Yeah,
got to do that a lot. And so that would be something I would absolutely miss as well. Not having that same level of connection that you have with your family. Like that's really cool that you guys
yeah.
get to spend time together and it's like everyone's welcome.
Hmm.
Sounds like it's a lot of fun. Knowing just kind of where you're at. Is it in like Green Bay area?
Yeah, it's like north of that, so it's like in the Upper Michigan
Mm.
Peninsula, which I think Wisconsin needs to attack Michigan to get the but it's actually in a place called Spread Eagle.
Oh,
There is a strip club on the turn that you go into, and it's a series of lakes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really beautiful up there.
so then, kind of with your creative process, we kind of gone through all of that. We talked a little bit about like artists supporting each other. So how do you think that, especially us in our independent artist realm, can be supporting each other better?
Yeah, I think as an independent artist, like I think I want people to, if you're not an artist and you don't go through that process, I think it's really important to recognize like how much work actually goes into to
Hmm.
doing this. It's you don't have a label. When they say independent artist, it is really just you. You are
Yeah.
independent on this. Like I don't think people realize that. So, sometimes there's stuff on TikTok, it's like I'm an independent artist, but they have a whole team doing stuff. So,
Hmm.
um, supporting independent artists and just, even if it's not the mainstream kind of stuff, if you really enjoy the content or you enjoy the song, I think those are the people that are most important to share to. There's kind of an analogy of like a friend has a clothing company and it's cool, but instead of buying that, you're buying Nike.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that same thing where it's not as cool to support independent artists, but I do think as independent artists, it's important that we recognize like all the work that goes into it and really just appreciate the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in like I'm not gonna support somebody that I don't necessarily enjoy the music, or I don't enjoy them or what they're putting out into the world. So I think I try to be conscious of listening to that song of somebody
Hmm.
that I enjoy, and you never know, you might be able to create some fun memories to those songs and really enjoy them. And just because they're not a major label
Hmm.
song, like there's some beauty in that.
Yeah, I agree. And there's opportunities with everyone. Everyone knows someone in the industry, and so you never know. I always say,
Hmm.
never burn bridges in the music industry because it's a huge small family.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But and also like independent artists, like I think it's important to share out connect with each other and talk about like, oh, this is a scam. Like, watch out for this person, watch out
Yeah.
for this service, watch out for this company. I mean, like, there are so many companies out there that are trying to funnel money from artists who are already putting in so much money, so much time
Right.
into their art, into their craft. And then there's people along the way that are trying to cash in on that. And I think it's really unfortunate. So I think just us as artists, we need to have each other's backs. I mean,
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah. I love it. As your name says, who has
Through
your
every
back, right?
action. Who
Through
has your
every
back?
action. Hmm. Yeah, there's another artist recently that I just had the opportunity to chat with a little bit. Their song got stolen by someone and finished because they were like promoting their song on social media. Someone took their snippet, put it through AI, released it, as their own single. Luckily, someone had that artist back and like let them know, like, hey, your song is like kind of out there and released, and it wasn't released yet. And so I think kind of like you say, keeping your eye out for scams, um,
Wow.
things like that happening to other independent artists, because that's an independent artist as well. And just like, yeah, having each other's back that way. And
Yeah.
being kind. I don't think it costs anything to be kind.
No.
It
No,
really doesn't.
100%. Yeah, I just feel like, negativity is what spurs viral, going viral and, just like
Right now, for
trickery
sure.
and stuff like that. And it's just so, I don't understand it. I don't
Hmm.
understand why the negative stuff is all that's portrayed. And, I mean, sure, it's a little more engaging. It's gonna drive more conversation, but I don't gel with that. There's something about it I just don't
Hmm.
like. Like, I would never comment on, even if I don't like this, I'm never gonna comment on the song and be like, "Save it,"
Yeah.
"Keep this one," or whatever.
Keep this one. This sounds like a personal song. Oh. Gee.
But, you go on, Reels or TikTok, and it's just like, there's this song, and it's just like, they're clearly, it's either a joke or they're
Hmm.
really trying and they're just not very good, or they're not very polished, or they're just starting out or whatever. And there's
Yep.
like hundreds of comments, and that, it goes viral, and you're like, how does this go viral? But like
Yeah.
good, quality stuff or whatever just doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of talking with other artists and like building this community, do you have like a dream queer collaborator that you'd like to work with in the future?
Oh, well, Real X Man was definitely one of those like dream collaborations.
Yeah.
I would love to work with Z Machine. Him and I
Yes.
connected a while ago, like a while ago, and we were talking about a collab, but it just that
I
never
love Z
happened. Then he
Machine.
popped off. I actually tried to get him on 90s R&B,
Really?
but he politely declined. He did like a collaboration project, and then was kind of focusing on solo stuff. So he
Right.
politely declined. But I'm not really. I haven't really thought too much about it. I think part of me wants to do things for myself and by
Hmm.
myself. I love collaborating, but it is nice to just like, if you have an idea for a song and you want a direction, it's like doing things for yourself, not having to worry about so many splits and
Right.
personalities or different things like that. 90s R&B actually has a feature with a group called Smooth Nature. They're
Ooh.
out of Austin, Texas, and they um, joined on for one of the verses, and I'm really happy about it because the song is really what they're about. They're kind of like that old school saxophone
Ah.
R&B dancing that have a really cool aesthetic. They just did a set at South by Southwest, or a couple sets, and they're an up and coming group that I'm really like honored to have on the song. So they're super cool, they're super nice, super genuine, and um, I think for right now, I'm just trying to focus on like creating my project, but I'm always open to collaboration.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So, kind of wrapping this thing up, I've got a fun rapid round of questions, kind of
Okay.
feeling in the nostalgia feel for us.
Yeah.
So, just kind of
Okay.
rapid fire here. What's your like favorite comfort food?
Comfort food, buffalo
Hmm.
wings for sure.
Buffalo. Oh, okay. Saucy or dry?
It depends. Like if you're I like it crispy. So if it's crispy and saucy,
Hmm.
that's my preference. But otherwise, the dry rub probably.
Yep. I'm a dry rub person too. I'll dip in a sauce. I don't like getting my fingers messy or my face messy. You got
Yeah,
facial hair too. Do you kind of worry about that, like having things in your beard?
not really, but
No, it's just me.
I'm just like, "Rah, rah, rah."
Yeah.
Gotta have the ranch. Gotta dip it in the ranch.
Ooh, blue cheese.
Um,
Blue
oh, you're a
cheese.
blue cheese
I
guy?
am. I know. I know it's polarizing. I love
Uh,
ranch, but blue cheese,
fair.
especially with the hot wing. Mm,
Yeah, some blue cheese is good, but I prefer the ranch. That ranch is like a very Midwestern thing, I think.
true. Very true. So now, nostalgic TV show. What's like your go-to? You can watch it on repeat.
Martin, Seinfeld. Seinfeld I've been into recently. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are probably the two. Like Martin is such a classic,
Mm-hmm.
and Seinfeld is so
Gosh.
funny. And I honestly think that Seinfeld inspired my style a little bit. Like he's
Really?
always wearing sneakers.
Yeah.
He's always got a mock neck sweatshirt or shirt on, and I love mock necks. But yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewatch Seinfeld. It's been since it was on, I think the last time that I sat down and watched it. But
Yeah.
yeah, totally growing up,
It's a
loved
good
Seinfeld.
casual thing to have on the background.
Hmm. And I don't know if we would call this necessarily nostalgic yet because it's only been a few years. Mine's Schitt's Creek. I
Oh,
watch it all the way through, and then I usually skip the last episode. Makes me a little sad, and then I
yeah.
just go right to the first episode and do it again. It's like my background. If I'm like on the couch, not doing anything, cleaning, that's my favorite show.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that's nostalgic because that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I think it's been like
But
4 years that it's been over. But my favorite
time sure
show.
flies. Yeah. No, I love Schitt's Creek. It's so good.
And then current artist that's on repeat for you.
Oh, Tevin Campbell right now. Have you ever seen the movie Goofy, a Goofy
Of
movie?
course.
Powerline is the artist in Goofy movie, and Tevin Campbell is the voice behind that. So,
I didn't know Tevin had his own music. Does he have his own music?
oh yeah, he was like Usher before Usher, but it didn't last super long, and I don't
Really?
necessarily know why. But um, also he came out, which is super cool.
Ah, you should send me some of your favorite songs. I love him.
Yeah.
I
So
like those songs are fantastic. I just had no idea he did
best
originals.
song is "Can We Talk." Is "Can We Talk for a Minute?" Like it just hits me. So I naturally I've been listening to like a lot of like 90s 2000s R&B. So that's the one that comes to mind. But Bobby Brown, his old music is just so good. Like the late 80s, early 90s stuff when he
Hmm.
first went solo is just like, oh, it's so good.
So then, how can we support you with your music?
Yeah, I mean, everything goes a long way. Word of mouth, in person. If there's something that you like about the vibe, the energy, the music, drop a follow. It's TeawhYB, TeawhYB on literally everything. I don't have a different screen name on anything. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, wherever you can find music, you can find me.
Perfect. All
Say
right. Well,
what's
what's
up. Don't be
yeah.
afraid. Say what's up. If you're watching this, say what's up.
Perfect. Well, thank you, TYB, again for joining me on the podcast. It's been so great getting to chat with you, share a little bit about our journeys together, and I just appreciate you, the style of music that you make, and just who you are as a person. You're a really cool guy, and I'm very excited that I got to chat with you. So
Hey,
thanks for
likewise,
coming
Casey.
on. So for everyone out there, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you follow TYB on all of his social media. I've got all of his links in the description below. Download his music. Don't just stream it, download it, all right? And then remember to always be kind to others, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. Till next time, peace.
Period.